Hola! Me llamo Esteban Beauchamp, and you're watching the Byte Extra Crunchy podcast with your host, Mr. Brian Tong.
Hola, yo soy Chino. Me llamo es Brian Tong. Chino, I'm serious. Yo soy Chino. You know what that is? Look it up. It's not too hard to figure it out. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It's the Byte Extra Crunchy episode. Get ready for this. 97, bro.
Nine siete.
Nine.
Oh
Nine siete. Nice Spanglish right there. This is the Byte Extra Crunchy, all things Apple going on inside the world of Apple, a complimentary piece to our video podcast that comes out weekly, but really just all the in-depth good stuff. This is a show all for you all. We have tons of great calls. Again, you guys are like stepping up your game, and I love it. 1-800-616-2638 is the number to call us. That is where you leave your name, where you're from, and your comments. I love it when people give like thoughtful opinion.
Yes.
Because it adds, it kind of elevates the show. So please bring your great points to the show. Also, questions are fine as well, but we want to hear from you. This is your show as much as it is ours. We love talking about this stuff as much as you all do. So I'm going to say let's jump in the show. We were first going to start off talking about the Note 8 because that was kind of a big deal, and then people get mad at me. They're like, why are you talking about stuff that's not Apple? And then I kind of understand this whole world of like how people just want to hear the news they want to hear. Because it's like, if it's not about Apple, y'all don't want to hear about it sometimes.
Everything's on demand now.
It's
get
like
your news how you want it.
You pick it how you want it. So we'll get back to the Note 8 and where it stands and what happened, because that was just the big news in the tech world. But we want to jump off today from the start with a story from Bloomberg that pretty much dropped just about an hour ago before we came up with our buddy Mark Gurman. And the headline here, Apple is planning a 4K upgrade for its TV box. Now, we've heard a lot of rumors that maybe the 4K Apple TV would show up at Apple's keynote that's coming out sometime this September. According to Mark Gurman and company at Bloomberg, they're planning to unveil this new 4K Apple TV with an upgraded set-top box, obviously, that can stream 4K video and highlight television content such as news and sports. So this is kind of changing or evolving how even the software will be. The updated box will be revealed alongside the new iPhone and Apple Watch, according to them. Their sources did not want to be identified, but it also says it will be running a faster processor capable of streaming 4K content. Oh, yeah. So we could be talking about an A10 processor potentially inside of this new Apple 4K TV. Also, not only will it support higher than 1080p video, the goal here is they're testing a version of their TV app right now, the one that launched back in 2016, that can now also aggregate programming from apps that already offer live streaming.
Yeah.
So remember when Apple TV first came out, it was really app-based, and then it kind of evolved into a lot of different TV stations, networks, content creators offering their own versions of apps where you can watch their programs. Then Apple TV created the non-confusing named TV app, which then was kind of a place that showed and kind of collected all these apps and places to watch stuff in one place. I think the biggest part about it is that it saved where you left off on a TV show or a movie, whether it was through the apps or through stuff you purchased on iTunes from an Apple TV to other Apple products. But this is all being folded into what they hope for this new 4K-based Apple TV. We know that Apple teased in some of their earnings reports that we'd see more from tvOS by the end of this year. That was actually Tim Cook who said that specifically. But we also talked about last year about content. And really, what does Apple TV need to be a success, Mr. Beecham?
Needs good content.
It needs the goodies.
Needs to draw us in.
Draw me in. Take me in. They also need if they're going to show off live content on this Apple TV app, are they going to holler at us or what?
Oh, yeah, holler at us, man. We need our own channel, Apple.
We can actually start just saying good things all the time about Apple, and then that'll
be difficult. That's gonna be that's a tall order.
They'll definitely put us on if we do that. Maybe we'll get invited back to events and stuff. But again, this is one of those things we expect to see. But a 4K upgrade TV. This is a report now by Bloomberg, and they're just really on top of their stuff. That's pretty much a confirmation in my mind. Now, we also want to talk about, before we jump into other things, we're talking about the Apple TV. This story dropped after last week's show, I think around Friday or so. But let me just pose this question to you first, Beecham.
Yes.
Or Beach. You know, we got Beach and Tong going on here. And tell me what you think about this. Now, there is a story initially started by Bloomberg that said Apple and Comcast we're in talks with movie studios to enable them to create a new video on demand service that would allow you to watch movies maybe within 17 days after their actual theatrical release. So let's talk about it. Something like Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Justice League. What if you could watch those movies 17 days after they were in a theater from your home for $50 per movie?
See, that I'm like on the fence about this because $50 is a lot, but
It is.
I took my kids to see Lightning McQueen like a couple of weeks ago, right? And I wound up spending
The actual title of that movie is Cars 3.
Cars
I wanted a
Trey.
well actually you there.
Cars
Well,
triple.
actually?
Yes.
Okay.
I wound up spending probably like $70 in the end, like tickets, food, parking. It added up.
Oh yeah.
And my kids were like in the seat and they're like moving around. They're like, they're like ready to get out of there because they're like 5 years old and 3 years old, right? So I mean, if we could have watched it at home, then this might be good. But the problem with this is that it could mean the end of movie theaters.
Well, here's the thing though, right? I thought this is great because what has happened, and people don't realize, a lot of people say, why would they do this? And what's happening is because of how much better our home theater systems are getting in general, because people are always on the go, because of this on-demand nature. And for people that are watching and listening, if you guys can write your comments right now, we'll jump in and kind of throw some of those out. What do you think about this whole service? But because of the nature of changing of how things are becoming, or how our lives are evolving around movie theaters, and things are getting so much better at home, right? We have like 65-inch screens that are like 4K now, surround sound systems. They need to figure other ways to make money in these different windows. Typically, you have a theatrical release, and then it's available for VOD on demand around 2 to 3 months after, right? And then then you like maybe a year later, or even on Netflix. After, let's say, 6 months, 7 months now, you're starting to see them on Netflix, things like Civil War and all that stuff from Marvel. So they want to create a new window. A lot of people, when I first posted this story, reacted negatively. They're like, $15? No way. I would never do that. And you know what? I think there's a group of people that are like that, single young people that don't want to pay $50 to rent a movie, and this is not even a purchase, this is a rental. But this is exactly what someone with a family with four to five members, right? Yeah, right. 3-year-olds. If you look, I know we have a lot of young listeners. I have nieces and nephews. I don't have kids yet, but a 3-year-old is a handle. 2-year-old, 3 at a movie theater.
I didn't know what I was getting into.
You see how long he just blinked? If you saw how long you closed your eyes, I felt that. So I think this is great just to even have as an option. Just have it as an option. It doesn't mean everyone has to do this. Just have it as an option.
Do you want me to read you some
I want to hear what people are saying. Real
Okay.
time. What are people saying?
Kash Alim. These are comments from a YouTube channel. Another subscription! Exclamation.
It's a rental. It's not a subscription, bro.
That's really expensive. Akshat Kumar says, this would be the end of theaters, laughing my ass off. I love theaters too much. This should be lowered to $25. A bag of popcorn's almost $10 now. So, a lot of people feel like right off the bat, their first feeling was like, it's too expensive. They don't want another subscription.
And to the point here, Harpy231 on the Periscopes just said, for some people, it's about the experience. That's why I go to movies.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
But again, it depends on where you fall in this. Some people, it's the experience. Some people, it's a hassle to go to a movie, but you do it because you want to share an experience with your family.
And just share an experience with the country as a whole. Like new big movies coming out.
Oh my God.
You kind of want to be there the night, opening night. Yeah, that energy, right?
Like, or even sometimes when you see like a movie and like the laughs are louder and the oh my God are louder
totally.
When everyone in the room is like doing it. Yeah. It's like, there's something about that. Guess what? There's something about going outside and interacting with people,
totally.
Like complete strangers. This is like a novel thing. So this is in the works. Amazon jumped on board with this. Now, initially the pitch was $50 after 17 days. A new number that is being thrown around is $30 for a rental, 30 to 45 days. It's Apple, Amazon, and Comcast who are in discussions with movie studios about this. The other aspect that isn't talked about this is the movie theaters themselves. They have a stake in this, right?
Oh, yeah.
They share profits. So one of the proposals is that the movie theaters, the physical movie theaters, would be able to get a cut of these rentals. they wanted a deal that lasted 10 years.
Yes.
And so that's right. They want to lock in security for themselves because they really don't know how this is going to affect them.
Yep.
No, neither do, Apple and Comcast and whatnot. I think for people like Apple, Comcast, and Amazon, it's easy for them because they can build the service and just have it there. We don't know if people are gonna really flock to watching at home or not. But again, the movie theaters need to protect themselves. They offered a 10-year contract under certain terms, but then the tech companies were like, that's a little too long. We don't want to get locked into giving you this profit and margin when we don't even know how this is going to figure itself out. So I think ultimately this is an evolution of where things were going. For people that don't remember, the founder of Napster, I can't remember, Sean Parker.
Yep.
He actually proposed a service like this a few years ago, but it was poo-pooed. He comes from a background of Napster was used for ripping content.
Yeah, music
so
industry is still recovering.
Right? And he wasn't really their friend.
No.
And never has been. So when he tries to pitch something, a legitimate service or a great idea because of his history with how his beginnings in media came, it's like they don't want to hear him.
He's kind of a lightning rod.
Yeah. So I think you got to give props for him for even pushing this idea out. And then the main companies for going after it. Just
when this article came out last week, though, it mentions that, stock market and a bunch of these giant cinema chains dropped by like 8%. Their stock dropped just with the mention of this article. So they're saying these theaters just need to come out and be firm and just say, no, we're not going to do this. They're asking for 10 years. Yeah, they'll get 10 years, but then what happens after that? Then they can just phase it out over 10 years. Who knows? So, there's big stakes here. I mean, movie theaters are giant business in this country,
And I'm on team. I love going to the movies. Dolby Cinema specifically. Yeah. I'm not trying to pimp that. It's just amazing. People that have seen some of my other stuff, they know how much I'm in love with that. But I still enjoy the experience. There's nothing that can replicate it. There's nothing that can replicate a guy with a nervous shaky leg shaking your chair the entire movie.
Yeah.
Shaky leg
doing the half turn
oh my gosh. Shaky leg guy at the movie theater? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I hate that guy.
Talking people too.
Yeah, I've sometimes been guilty of that. So I'm not gonna be too harsh on that. So anyways, love to hear for people that listen to our show. Again, you guys and gals can call us 1-800-616-2638. What do you think about this whole idea and Apple getting involved? I think that's just a great thing. Okay, we do want to transition over a little bit about the Note 8. This just dropped a day ago? Has it been only a day? It has been only a day.
It feels like 2 days, but
it has only been a day. I'm not going to jump into the specifics, but I think people that are watching are like, well, what is really the standout feature of the Note 8? And without a doubt, it's its dual lens camera. They did this cool demo where they were showing off how, and this is great footage right here, Beach, but they showed off, first of all, they had one of the most amazing stages I've ever seen at a keynote, which was the floor was a video screen, the same as it was like the corner of a cube. Just blew my mind. But basically, their dual lens camera system, and that's nothing new, but the difference about it has dual optical image stabilization on it. It also has this cool ability to, and they're both 12 megapixel cameras. It has this cool ability to not only change the depth of field with shots you take before, right, blurring out the background. You can do it after you've taken the photo. The camera right now, bottom line, is better than the iPhone 7 Plus's camera. And guess what? It should be, because it's basically about a year difference. But they did this hilarious demo where they showed our optical image stabilization versus the iPhone 7 Pluses. Again, yeah, it's in that first clip you had, maybe halfway down it. Yeah. And they showed someone on a dock, and they showed the iPhone 7 Plus literally being shaken like it was on a roller coaster or something. Yeah. And I have never, I mean, come on.
No.
I've never seen an iPhone camera shake that much. Sure, the Galaxy Note 8 has dual optical image stabilization on both lenses, but it was such I'm like, this is BS, man. This is BS.
Yeah, as soon as I saw it too, I was like, that is silly. Wait, I think I found it.
There we go.
I was like, that is silly. Someone is literally
there's no way
shaking the camera around on purpose, because every iPhone video I've ever taken is very, you'll be you'll notice yourself that you're shaking, I'm moving around, but then when we watch the video and the finished product, it's very stable. So this is very
a child doesn't shake even a child doesn't shake a camera that much. So either way, the Note is really, they played it safe because they had the whole debacle with the Note 7. And I'm not going to make any more fire exploding jokes because I've said this before. Like, if we all love, it's not only is it played out, if we all love technology, we want to see other companies succeed. We want to see them push the bar. We want to see them encourage Apple to innovate as well, or at least catch up, depending on how you see it. So the Note 8 looks like a solid competitor, but the main point that they were really trying to show off is that their camera was better. But then again, it's like we're gonna see a new iPhone like in a few more weeks, so it might be better now. Like, hold on to that right now, but
it does look pretty awesome, man.
It does look nice.
Yeah.
All right, should we take a break and show some love to the people that keep us in business,
man?
man?
Let's do it. Let me get some music happening.
Get me in that mood, bro.
And there's my iTunes. It's running a little slower than usual.
I'm not even worried.
Go ahead.
All right, check this out, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Our sponsor this week is Eero, the single router Wi-Fi model. It just doesn't work for our increasingly high bandwidth world. So what you need is a distributed system. It's Eero. That's E-E-R-O. Now, whatever your Wi-Fi needs are, it has the power to seamlessly blanket your home in fast, reliable Wi-Fi. It has not only kind of this base station, but it has these other wall outlets that allow you to, or, like nodes that allow you to expand the coverage into any room. Think of it as a mesh network, not to mention the addition of a third 5 gigahertz radio inside these second generation Eeros. It's now a tri-band wireless router, twice as fast as its predecessor. It also has a new radio band to talk to smart home devices, as well as the thread radio band, so that's going to be cool. It hasn't really been optimized yet across the industry, but it's ready and future-proof. Also, these beacons, they're half the size, they're more powerful than the original Eero, and I did want to talk about the fact that my parents, they have like this 3-level house, and I only at the time had an airport wireless, an old one, because they don't really need that much internet, but it didn't get the best signal, so basically I just gave it a shot, right? Eero sent us a package to see, does it deliver on the goods? And the setup was really easy, and it was really cool. So all I'm saying is that we used it in my parents' house. They have better coverage now because of it. I am going to return the Eero. I did not get a payola. I'm just saying.
Just want you to try out the product.
Just want me to try it out.
It was successful.
Okay? So it's really great. Again, when you have a distributed network, it's going to be better. And also, with people's homes, I can't tell you how many people, the number one thing with their wireless connectivity is like, I don't get in this room. How do I do it, right? This is one of those ways to do it. So check it out. We're giving you at the Apple Byte, thanks to Eero, free overnight shipping to the U.S. or Canada. All you have to do is visit Eero.com. That's EERO.com. Select overnight as the shipping option and enter Apple Byte at the checkout. That's Eero.com, code Apple Byte. Holla. Thanks, y'all.
Sweet.
I guess we can keep on doing the show because we still have a sponsor, right?
Yeah, we have a sponsor, and they're continuing to sponsor us.
like they should. All right, check this out. Let's jump over. We know there's tons of iPhone 8 news. We always have iPhone 8 news for you, but we want to keep on giving it to you. This is the latest, and this makes sense. If you guys are wondering on your calendar where exactly is Apple going to announce the new iPhone 8 and some of these other products we've heard about, the Series 3 Apple Watch and the new 4K Apple TV, according to Mac Forever, they believe, based on talk, it's a European website, so if you pull up the link, you won't be able to translate it immediately. You'll need the help of Google to do that. But they basically said, based on talking to their phone carrier contacts, those phone carrier contacts have been told to prepare for September the 12th as the announcement date for the new iPhone 8, to prepare for marketing materials, inventory as well. That is the date that has been targeted. That is a Tuesday. Typically, Apple has done their September iPhone keynote in the first 2 weeks of September. Sometimes it's fallen on the 9th. Sometimes it's fallen, I think, like the 10th or 11th. But it's typically been in that sweet spot. This would really align with that. And then the other part of that is later on, after they put out that first piece of news, they also then kind of dug deep. And they are also now claiming that September the 22nd will be the official launch date of the actual new iPhone.
Oh, yeah.
Put it on your... So that means I'm coming back out here, bro, to see your face.
Oh, yeah. You're coming back out.
See your face.
Cool.
Which is nice. I mean,
I like it when you see my face.
I do too. I do too. I like it a lot. So September 12th, potential for the announcement. September 22nd, potential. This is not confirmed. Apple has not spoken on this yet. Typically, we at CNET get invites to these events like the Thursday, the week before the actual event. So... We didn't hear anything this week. That means it's not happening next week. We'll keep you posted with everything there.
I like this little breakdown of dates from iPhone 5, iPhone 5S, all the different launch dates.
Yep.
So yeah, it kind of lines up here.
It totally lines up in that time frame. So we've had, for example, the iPhone 6S, the iPhone 6S was announced September 9th, released September 25th. The iPhone 7 was announced September 7th, released September 16th. So they've typically been 12, 10, 9, somewhere around there. So
cool.
We'll see. All right, also just a quick thing about the Apple iPhone 8. It was a quick kind of little blurb mention in the Korea Herald. We get a lot of questions about how exactly is the Face ID or the Face Unlock facial recognition system for the iPhone going to really work. Again, we don't 100% know. We can only pull what we learned from the HomePod firmware that claimed things like it'll be able to see us in the dark. It'll be able to see you while the phone is resting on a table at different angles. It'll be a depth sensing facial recognition. That'll be one of the aspects. It didn't really outlay if iris scanning is part of it as well. Those were some of the rumors. But according to the Korea Herald, everyone's talking about how much better will this be? Will I miss the Touch ID button? They say that the iPhone 8 will be able to unlock your face within millionths of a second.
Nice.
That's
what we want.
Million seconds.
Because right now it takes like a second and a half to do it with your finger. If you
that's on the older Touch IDs.
Oh yeah.
If,
like mine.
if you're not with the time Stephen Beacham, it's going to take like a second and a half.
I'm instead 2 years behind.
I'm on split second. I'm not millionths of a second, but I'm on a split second.
Nice. I want to be on millions, man.
Millions is coming. You're gonna get it. I know you are.
All right.
I'm pretty sure you are. I'm just saying.
I'm saving my dollars.
Or you're gonna have to save like around $1,000, like if you want to talk about that. Which is funny. It leads right into our next story. The New York Times just recently claimed, again, everyone has been throwing these numbers around, but they believe this is just actually now the more that I read this headline, this is just clickbait because we know this stuff in the Apple world. Apple to price premium iPhone at around $999.
$999.
But we've heard this already.
Yeah.
It didn't add any new information, so I'm not giving them credit for that. That's lame. But the next story I thought was really cool to kind of talk about this psychological barrier of $999. I think there's a lot of people that are going to completely ignore it. They won't care because they're just going to spread that money out over payments. There was a survey recently by Barclays that claimed only 1 in 5 iPhone owners would be willing to pay the rumored $1,000 price point for this iPhone 8 that has been floating around. That was according to one of their own surveys. Barclays, based on their survey, was they thought that people might defect to Samsung. Well, guess what? The Note 8 is starting around $950, $960. But then a survey by Fluent basically says, you know what? Kind of, but that's not exactly true. They surveyed more than 2,000 U.S. customers that said only 5% of iPhone owners would expect to buy a Samsung the next time. They also showed that, yes, this makes sense. iPhone owners have the highest loyalty of any smartphone brand, with 79% intending to buy another iPhone model as their next phone. I'm going to be curious how this shakes out because ultimately Apple's going to have 3 models of phone. So whether the $1,000 iPhone is a barrier or not, I don't think they really care as long as you buy an iPhone.
Yeah.
Right?
They don't care.
Like,
as long as you're still in the ecosystem, you're still using all their apps, all their stuff.
If price discourages someone, fine. Buy a different form factor model iPhone. And some people have said, are they going to still stick with these 3 models or multiple size models? Ever since Tim Cook came on board, that was one of the things he pushed for. That was not a Steve Jobs thing. It was definitely a Tim Cook thing. And guess what? Their profits have reaped the benefits because of that strategy. And I don't think that they're going to change that anytime soon.
Nah.
This
is
is
working for them.
Yeah, this is part of who they are. And
Yep.
they took that model from Samsung, quite honestly, with different sizes of phones, and they're not worried about it being too confusing or if it bothers the customers. In other iPhone news, this was kind of hinted at in I don't want to call it a slip of the tongue, but I guess you could. A while back at one of the earnings calls, Tim Cook had actually talked about like the Apple Pencil specifically. And he said that this is what he said, this is one of his quotes. If you've ever seen what can be created with that pencil on an iPad or an iPhone, it's really unbelievable. Wait.
iPhone.
Do you see it here? If you've ever seen what can be created with that pencil on an iPad or an iPhone, guess what? That hasn't come to fruition yet. Like, you can't use an Apple Pencil on an iPhone yet. Now, patently, Apple pulled up a couple new patents that specifically talk about an Apple Pencil deliberately being referred to as being used with an iPhone and an iPad. This numbers won't matter to you, but patent application 201-702-42499. It's called noise correction for a stylus touch device. It's deliberately calls out and clarifies that a smartphone and tablet are indeed part of using this stylus with touch to clean that up.
So do you think we're going to see a smaller stylus then in the near future?
Maybe. I don't know. It's going to be, it's funny because if Apple did their own note product, I don't think we'll see it this year, but if they did, it would just be like the ultimate, like, holy crap, guys. Like, how much more do you want to just take another page from Samsung,
I mean, like, we've all heard the soundbite of Steve Jobs saying how much he hates styluses, styli, or whatever you call them. So it would almost be like sacrilegious for Apple to do that for a phone,
And, we've seen, this is the thing, again, and I want to clarify this, we're not making fun of them. People in the tech world like innovation. We know that Apple is a perfectionist. They are not always the innovator. Sometimes they have been. Like, the iPhone was like, well, there are already phones out there, but at least the way you used it and interface with that was a game changer, right?
Yep.
But Apple's philosophy has always been like best, but not first. And best is in their minds, for the record, right? But they've lived by this rule of best, not first. And other companies are like, get it out there and be the best that you can at that point in time, right?
Yeah.
So Samsung has rolled out with a lot of this stuff, wireless charging, OLED screens, and they've been fine. We had the Note 7 debacle, that's fine. But they're getting out the new technology faster. Apple's like, well, not only do we want to make sure the technology is mature, we want to perfect it with our platform, we want to optimize it. And so guess what? The iPhone 8 or iPhone Future or iPhone 10th anniversary is going to be an amazing phone specifically for iPhone users, which there are a lot of, that just haven't been exposed to this. But it's in a weird way, I know, because I'm speaking for myself, it's probably going to feel so nice, and Samsung users and Android users will be laughing. But when you're part of this large group, once you get something you haven't had on a daily basis, it's going to feel brand new to you.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to feel like, and they're like, yeah, we had that. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And then Apple's just like, yeah, we got iOS, or we got whatever. We have our ecosystem. It's just one of those things. 3D Touch well, there was another I don't know if it's the Huawei phone. There's another smaller company that actually technically launched 3D Touch before the iPhone, but the iPhone was the first one to market with 3D Touch. But you haven't seen people really copy that feature, and at the same time, it's disappointed me because I felt like that was a feature that Apple should have leveraged a lot more.
Yeah.
It's there, but it's not like everyone's like, I love 3D Touch on my phone. Some people do, some people don't even know it's there.
I know, because it's a new behavior we have to learn, and I've talked about that before. Like, we're kind of tired of learning new behaviors to unlock things and write and use our phones. So
use your face.
Yeah, just use your face. If I could just go like this and my phone unlocks, that's cool.
Well, if it's within millionths of a second, it would already be unlocked by the time you held it in front of your face.
Oh, yeah. It would be unlocking as I'm bringing it to my face.
It would be.
Right?
It would be. Let's just jump over to some iPhone 7s news. I'm just going to take this top story so we can get to the calls because we don't want to linger on this stuff too long. But Benjamin Geskin, one of the ultimate leakers in the Twitter sphere, it has a lot of good stuff. He showed off a photo of what appears to be the bare logic boards for the potential iPhone 7 Plus. But the two things to note here specifically called out in the picture here that he posted up is a spot for an A11 chip processor and an Intel-based modem. These are two things that have been rumored. Like, let's be real, an iPhone always gets a new processor, so an A11 chip makes complete sense, right? The fastest one on the market right now is the A10X, which is in my iPad Pro. Humble brag. Humble brag. But also an Intel-based chip, which is interesting because we know that Apple and Qualcomm have this ongoing back and forth beef. We know that last year's phone, the iPhone 7, the Intel modem performed significantly differently than the Qualcomm modem that was better. And so, sure, Intel's had time to... Qualcomm, that is Qualcomm's expertise, okay?
Totally.
So I'm also curious, fine, if we have an Intel modem and they're all Intel modems, will we notice a difference in the performance? Will it bother us? I think what would be interesting to see is if an iPhone 7 with a Qualcomm modem, if it outperforms an iPhone 8 with an Intel modem, I think people will be pretty pissed off. It'll kind of bring that group of people that likes to be vocal and just complain about everything. Not me.
Do you think you can be able to notice it in like real world environment? Because I know like we do like testing here. We have a lab and we test all the numbers, right? It's all data driven. But if you're like out in the real world, is like a normal person gonna notice?
The thing is, though, a lot of times when we do these like speed tests, like they even do tests like launching apps, right? And they'll launch like 30 apps in a row, and there's like a 30 or 40-second difference, and people are like, "Oh my god,
yeah,
oh my god!" But then it's if you actually just open one app on its own, there's like, not really. There's like if it's a split
seconds, right?
Millionths of a second.
Yeah.
Split.
But when you're adding all those split seconds over time, then it adds up, and then you're like, I lost 40 seconds of my life launching apps for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, bro. Like,
first world problems.
Hashtag first world problems. It's true. It's true. I mean, again, we're so lucky that we got to be able to just goof around with this stuff. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think with downloading files, you can definitely get a clear distinction in speed testing which one is really that much better. Because that I think you'll feel the speed there versus just launching an app.
Definitely.
Right?
Also, when you're trying to stream video, stream music, you're gonna run into some stuff.
Exactly. Things of that nature. The last story here we want to talk about just kind of the Apple Watch. We know that the Series 3 is coming out. Really, the main feature of this bad boy is going to be the LTE addition to the iPhone. Or sorry, my brain is scrambled. To the Apple Watch. Not much is going to change. Form factor looks like it'll be the same. Quite honestly, battery life will most likely be about the same, if not a little less. They're not going to really be able to pack a larger battery, but maybe they can optimize watchOS a little better. That'll be remains to be seen because it'll now have GPS. It'll now have LTE in there at the same time. That's going to use more battery. So we'll see if they've really optimized this. It was rumored they were going to try and put it in last year's Apple Watch. But this cool survey from NPD Data came out to really kind of exhibit how people use their Apple Watch, in a day-to-day basis. And, mine is powered on half the time. Oh, it's actually working today, so that's good.
Cool.
Sometimes, I know, right? It's like
I think it's like the first time on the show I've seen your Apple Watch
battery
working
juice
on the show.
It's working, guys.
Yeah.
It's working. The jellyfish is going on.
That's cool.
But let's just look at the survey. It was a survey with, I believe, roughly 5,000 consumers that have a smartwatch. What do they actually use them for? Okay, so percentage of smartwatch users. The number one thing, 54% of these people, the number one thing they use it for is notifications and text. The number two thing they use it for is activity tracking. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
This one stuck out to me, and I was surprised. The number 4 at 26% of all the different things smartwatches are actually used for. What percentage of smartwatch owners use this function daily? That was the condition, daily. 26% of them use them for phone calls.
That's awesome.
Like daily.
Yeah.
Like that one surprised me.
That is, yeah. I mean, it is surprising
because I see people with Bluetooth headsets and stuff, but
I've never seen anyone talking into their watch. Not yet. I have not seen it.
If you do that, that's like if you don't think I like people taking pictures with iPads. Yeah, Hey, bro. Hey,
it actually looks kind of cool. It looks cool. It looks cool talking like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, it does look cool. No, it does. But anyways, 26% were phone calls. That took me by surprise that many people do that on a daily basis. But I think what's really cool is that actually is a good sign for an LTE Apple Watch to be lucrative and appealing to people.
I'm shocking that the remote control for music is so low on that list because you think that would be something you use it for a lot. And also watching videos and photos.
Hell no! Why are you watching videos and photos on your
I'm surprised
watch?
at how big that number is.
Oh yeah, 21%.
Yeah, that's quite a bit of people.
At the same time, sometimes when I look at the survey, I didn't even realize it was a response of what they do daily. I bet you some people are like, "What do you do with your smartwatch daily?" And they just read it as, "What do you do with your smartwatch?" They just check all the boxes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like that type of stuff happens all the time.
Yeah, that's funny.
Interesting stuff coming out for the. Oh, I almost burped right directly into the mic.
It's all good.
My bad.
Perfectly normal. Perfectly healthy and normal.
My bad. All right, should we jump into phone calls?
Let's do it, man.
All right, cool.
Thank you guys for calling. We got a lot of good phone calls today. Here's the first one.
Hey, Beach and Tong. This is Lucas from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I just wanted to call and leave some of my feedback on the Apple TV content or the lack thereof. The first thing I want to say is that it doesn't matter. Apple can spend, $1 or $1 billion. It doesn't really matter how much money they spend. If the content is good, people will come. If the content's not good, people won't come. The second thing I want to say is that their current content is just completely lacking. I am currently an Apple Music subscriber. I have been for just a little over a year now, and I haven't watched the shows that they have available because they're just not compelling enough. What they have is not anything that I'm all that interested in watching. I liked the Carpool Karaoke when it was James Corden on the Late Late Show, and I would look those up on YouTube and watch them. But they were like 5 to 7 minute clips, and now it's like a whole 20-minute deal. Like I don't want to watch that. They like completely ruined the show, and totally. I have no interest in it anymore. So those are just my 2 points. I love the show. Keep up the good work. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a great point.
He's echoing what we said, and then it's like you're watching Apple commercials almost.
Yeah, and even I love the point of, because I don't have it, I also thought what might be frustrating is on YouTube, they release like 7 or 8 minute clips of the Carpool Karaoke.
Oh, really?
On Apple's YouTube channel for free. And it's just like,
what? They're cannibalizing themselves.
Yeah, and not only they're cannibalizing, yeah, I get it. They're trying to be like, hey, get Apple Music. But to me, it's even more like, oh, yeah, well, this isn't really that great or that exclusive of stuff, so we're just going to put it out on YouTube anyways, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's like, okay, sure. But yeah, great stuff. Great point. It's like I said, we'll say this as long as we have the show, content is king. Yes. It always is.
All right, next call.
Hey, I just had a question for you guys. I would like you guys to predict the next gate, antenna gate, bend gate, for the next iPhone. Should be interesting to hear.
Yeah, you had a prediction. I don't really have one in my head right now, but sort of. But what was your prediction?
I think if anything, typically gate comes from new designs and new features, right? It's something that they haven't been able to perfect as much as they thought. I'm gonna go with, you would hope that they figured this out, but I'm gonna go with skin gate.
Skin gate.
I'm gonna be curious if this facial recognition and even if this depth sensor is going to really be able to work effectively with people of all different backgrounds.
That's what I was gonna say too, Brian.
Seriously?
I totally had the same.
Wait, did you call it skin gate though, or what'd you call it?
I don't know what I was gonna call it actually.
Brown gate?
I was gonna call it like facial unlock gate or something.
It has to be one word gate. Okay.
Yeah, because there have been that problem with other apps, like not recognizing people of color.
Yeah.
And like just doing weird things to their skin, or the AR stuff. Yeah, there are issues with that. So I'm curious how Apple's gonna get around that.
So you know what? I love that question, and I want to open it up to you, the listeners and viewers. Call us at 1-800-616-2638. Just tell us where your name, where you're from, the name of your gate. Remember, it has to be one word in gate, otherwise it's not cool. And if someone says like 10-word gate, I'm just gonna not use that. But one word gate and what it is for the new iPhone. And let's have fun with this, because you can be serious, you can be cool, but you can also be fun.
I also remember when Siri first came out, and there's a lot of people complaining because their accents didn't understand. I think people are still having that problem.
No, they still are right now.
Yeah, and
that's actually the number one thing about Siri when we talk about it. They're like, it doesn't understand my accent.
Yeah, I mean, we live on a giant planet full of so many different people, and they're trying to make a product that's going to cater to everyone. They're going to run into some problems.
Fresh to Death Jr. on Periscope is already calling this trash gate, because clearly he's here for the Apple Byte Extra Crunchy.
Yeah.
Clearly. All right. Next call.
All right.
Hey, Beach and Tong, this is Colin from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm just calling in, watching your live show streaming right now. Ryan, I got a quick question for you, and I'm curious, had you not worked at the Apple Store starting off, would you be this interested in Apple products and this savvy of a reviewer as you are? Just curious how you got your start. Thanks very much. Love the show. Been watching for, seems like forever. All right. Have a good one, guys. Bye.
You know what? It might seem like forever, but I've been told that I look about the same from when I started.
You do,
so,
yeah, you totally do.
So I got something for y'all. Asian don't raisin. Asian don't raisin. You can use that. You can use that with your friends next time if you have Asian friends or if you're Asian yourself.
Are you a vampire? You
Maybe.
Yeah. Like Tom Cruise.
To his question, would I be? I think I look. If you work for if at any time in your life you worked for an Apple retail store, is because you were a fan before. Like that that actually didn't enhance it anymore. I was already at that time. I was already like, I was intravenously getting Kool-Aid with the Apple logo pumped into my veins before I walked into the Apple store. I think as you grow up some and you see how Apple operates, not only there behind the scenes, how they actually interact with tech journalists, you start seeing a lot of, let's just call it shaping the story, or I don't want to say outright manipulate. Yeah, a lot of spin. That's the right word.
Yeah.
A lot of spin, and then also this arrogance that is completely unnecessary and that has remained throughout. So I think what it has given me is more perspective, maybe more ability to speak from also seeing how Apple used to be in its heyday versus how it is now. And again, they are still financially, they have never been better. So they are at their heyday. They're at their peak financially right now. Yeah. But are they at their peak innovation-wise? I would say no. And that's okay. But I still have so many products. I criticize them because if they claim they are the best and I want the best tech, then they should deliver on that promise instead of act like they're the best. We've said this plenty of times, so that's why I've got nothing but love for technology as a whole. Like, my parents were both teachers. I grew up around it, and I'm just a fan of tech, and I love it. Do I lean a little more towards Apple? Yeah, but then I'm also the same guy that people say, why do you hate Apple so much? Like, why? Don't do the Apple bite. Don't do the Apple bite. This guy hates. Get a new host. Get a new host. I get that all the time.
They want you to just be like, everything that Apple does is just wonderful and perfect.
Well, you see some of the videos out there on the YouTubes, and I'm like, holy crap, like, your nose is literally brown. Yeah. Like, your nostrils are deep with apple doo-doo right now. It's so embarrassing.
I've actually seen some of those people who were, like, diehard Apple people on YouTube or whatever, and they've actually, like, slowly turned the last couple of years. You know what I mean? Like, they're getting burnt out on it, too. They're, you know.
It's like what I told you about. People just want to hear what they want to hear. Yeah, so when I say stuff that's, like, real, and people don't want to hear it, they get mad at me. I'm like, what? I don't hate them. It's like, life is bigger than an iPhone, believe it or not.
True.
But anyways, yeah, I'm a big fan of tech. I love it. Okay. And thanks for listening all this time.
Yeah, man.
That's dope.
All right, call number 4.
Hello, my name is Andre Taylor, and my question is, do you think that the AirPods will become easier to get now that they've gone from 6 weeks to 4 weeks? Thank you for your time. I didn't want to be too long. I hope y'all have a nice day. Keep doing y'all's thing. And woo, I'm from Richmond, so Bay Area represent.
Shout
Bay
out.
Area.
Richmond.
Well, I could tell you right now, they'll be 2 weeks easier to get.
2 weeks, yeah. That was when he like answered his question on his own, kind of, you know.
I think he's just hoping in general, will they pop up in stores? A lot of people, here's the best strategy to get AirPods in the store if you want them. You call them around like 12 p.m. That's when your local time. That's when they get shipments, and so they don't even know exactly when they're getting stuff all the time when it comes to limited quantity like that. So just call around 11:30, 12. They'll know if they have them. Then you just go. If you don't have a job, or you can just leave on the spot.
Go hover around there.
Yeah, then just go to a store and you can scoop some up. That's how most people are getting them. Other than that, if you still want them, and for people that think I hate the product, they're wrong. I say it's a very, very, very good product. I just don't think it's a great product yet, and I do use them. Don't even get me wrong. I do use them. So that means I do like them. If I didn't use them, it means I don't like them. So yeah. I would say they're 2 weeks faster.
Yeah, and get well, Keek to Sneak out of Richmond.
Oh my gosh, for sure.
Man. He was badly hurt recently. All bad.
Bay Area, baby.
I'm looking at the comments, and a lot of people are saying expensive gate. That's gonna be the next one.
Dollar sign gate.
Yeah, $1,000 gate.
Dollar gate.
Yeah.
Dollar gate.
Okay, we have one more call. Here we go.
BTZ, Beachy. What's up, fellas? Anthony from Fontana, California. A couple things. Number one, the watch can be used as a phone, but TZ, sorry, bro, you got to get off your high horse about the AirPods, man. They're a perfect companion, seamless transition. You're not talking into your wrist, and iOS 11 is actually making them a little more effective. The other thing, exclusive content for Apple Music. I think that they should do maybe a documentary or maybe even a miniseries about some of the products that Apple had that made it what it was. The iPad, the iPhone, the iPod, the 8 when it comes out, HomePod when it comes out. You know, talk to the people that actually hand-to-hand in making these things and maybe a little about the inspiration behind it. You guys mentioned that article about the Apple campus. That was really interesting. You guys also showed Forstall's interview. That was really cool to watch. So I think that'd be some good exclusive content. And Beachy, bro, Trump talked about these Foxconn factories before Tim even said anything. Makes him a leaker, man. I can't believe you missed that one.
He is a leaker.
Love the show, guys. Take care.
He's an Asian leaker.
Yeah, he came out, but he also came out and kind of lied and was like, Apple's building a bunch of. No,
That's
not Apple. It was
we-
Foxconn, bro.
We,
But but what let's get back to what he was saying.
oh, which one about? Oh no,
about, he was saying
the content.
the content
Oh, that's
and making
genius.
You were excited about the documentary about them making products or something.
Well, I think, there's a lot of, when you go back in the history or the archives of Apple, there's a lot of joy, honestly. Like, one of the things that I think has been missing, and that's okay, but the joy of design in Apple products.
Yeah.
Like,
But
there was no joy in design in that Apple battery case.
No.
Like, not at all. But, like, for example, the original, remember, let's recall back to the iMac that had the movable neck.
Yeah.
And it kind of looked like the Wally
yeah.
lamp. The inspiration behind that was a sunflower. Like,
That's right. Yeah.
Steve Jobs saw a sunflower and then asked Johnny Ive to make a computer designed like that was functional. That's an amazing story, and to watch, to see how they came up with the different concepts and ideas and that neck, and that's cool to watch. Something like the Power Mac G4 Cube, one of the most controversial Apple products ever. For those youngins that don't know, look at the G4 Cube. Okay, it was at the time had the power of a desktop workstation. It was this amazing, beautiful piece of architecture. It had limited expansion because it was the size of a cube, but also it was kind of a learning experience for Apple and how they kind of evolved the Mac Mini. I bought one of those years ago. I don't even know how much they're on eBay now because I loved the design of it. Those are the types of great stories. I think Anthony got me juiced when he was talking about the show ideas. Apple should hire him and be like, yo, what other ideas you got? Because that would be great. That would speak to the audience, right? We're talking about content that we care about.
Yeah, but then again, like what I was saying earlier was like, it's almost like another commercial for Apple.
That's a commercial I'm willing to watch.
I mean, it does sound cool, but I don't know if, that's going to be like premium content people are going to want to come watch.
Okay, fine. I'll give you that, but it would be something that if I bought Apple Music and I was getting content, and if that was on the tier 1 being like Game of Thrones level type stuff, if that was tier 3 content programming, Apple documentaries on how they made products, I'm so down with that. It would
be cool, yeah.
Like real in-depth stuff. I think the problem is talking to some of these people that have left. Not only they're not actually in general allowed to talk about, some of.
Do they sign NDAs before
some of them
they leave
do, yeah.
the
Like
company?
why haven't we heard a single thing from Ruby, former VP of hardware John Rubinstein, ever since he left Apple?
Well, the Scott Forstall thing was really interesting.
that
we
was
got,
great.
Like juicy stuff out of that.
And some of them don't want to bring attention because they're trying to do other things in their career. But let's be honest, everyone loves talking about Apple. That's why we're lucky enough to have jobs to talk about this stuff. Like seriously.
Yeah.
So when people hammer us and say, "Dude, why do you hate on Apple?" Like we are thankful. We can't. If Apple didn't exist, I'd be selling pencils on the corner of a street, man.
Be sitting at my desk right now doing something not as fun.
I don't know. You might be doing something way funner. I don't
know. Who knows what we doing?
But Anthony, that's great. And also to reply, I'm not on a high horse about the AirPods. I've told people like they're good. They're just not great. Damn.
Yeah.
I bought them. If I pay money for a product, that means I am behind it.
Yeah.
And it can be better. So is that all we got?
That's it, man. We're done.
You know what? This is why we talked about earlier why we liked these calls, because there was like some thoughtful opinion and just great ideas inside there. So keep that type of stuff up, as well as ask questions. But didn't you say you had a guy had like an 8-minute call?
Yeah, he was talking about the end of the world. And
don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't.
Fire and brimstone. Blah blah blah.
I don't know if this is not the right show.
You're not gonna make us repent, buddy.
This is the Apple Byte Extra Crunchy, not Life Bites. You munchie. Life Bites munchies.
Yeah.
Okay, we good to go?
That's it, man. Here, let me get some background music.
We should like segue out of this thing.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
Get out of it. There
Again, to be a part of the show, be in the show, call us 1-800-616-2638. We'll be back next week. And, look, hot stuff is coming up. Apple's keynote's probably dropping in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So be ready for that. Beach and Tong signing out. Be safe. Peace.